So if I wanted to write these in a different way, here's what I'm going for. I could write 2 to the 4th over 2 squared. But I want you to think about this division. If you have 2 divided by 2, if we get a 1 there, we get a 1 here. So technically we're left with 2 to the second power. Or, I mean, a 4 is okay to write there also. So if I have 3 things being multiplied on top and one thing that's the same base on the bottom, turns out to be just x to the second. We're going to keep this in mind. So when we're dividing numbers or variables over and over, how do we do this quicker? So let's record these. Just like yesterday, year 1, 2, and 3 is written horizontally. So if we have 2 to the 4th divided by 2 to the 3rd, we're going to try to figure out what could we end up with. So write all of these down. If we wrote them out like we did in the warm-up and realize that, wait a second, 2 divided 2 is 1, then we're left with 2, and I want to stress that it's to the first power. I would typically just write a 2, but it's 2 to the first power. So writing out all these n's and realizing, hey, okay, so n divided by n is 1, I'm left with n to the 5th. Similarly, going to copy down the third one and see if I can develop a rule. So recognizing 3 divided by 3 is a 1, and you're left with 3 to the 4th. See if you can come up with a rule on your own before I tell you it. Rule: when dividing the same bases, we can subtract the exponents. So you've got that random division piece. I want you to, once again, let's just stress where the exponents are. The exponents are the tiny little numbers in the top right corner. So whatever you did yesterday in notes, whenever you wrote the word exponents above, let's keep that the same. So within our notes, we try to, I don't know, bold or highlight the same stuff in the same manner to help our brains remember. All right, so we're going to write exponents above. Base, we're going to point out that it's got to be the same base. And then we're going to put in the rule, how this is going to equal x to the a minus b. So just like yesterday's first example, bases do not match, so not the same. If you do not have the same base, then you have to write the same. Oh, wait a second. So let's realize your notes paper has a y to the 3rd, so my answer should be y to the 3rd on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to take, if I wrote it out, I'd have 2 L's on top multiplied by each other and 3 L's on bottom. So I have to make sure that I take the top exponent 2 minus the bottom exponent 3. Within the k's, I've got to recognize the bottom k has an exponent of 1. So really this is exponents 2 minus 1. Okay, so ending answer. L is to the negative 1, K is to the positive 1. On 6, we've got to realize, these guys are coefficients. These are regular numbers. When you have 8 divide 4, turns out to be a 2. So we treat those regular. And then the A will be to the 7 minus 2 power. So ending answer, 2a to the 5th. Let's see what these turn out to be. So there are different ways to attack it. If I were to figure out what this simplifies to first, this is going to be 10 to the, 2 minus 1 power raised to the 3rd, which is 10 to the 1st power raised to the 3rd, which means you have 10 to the first times 10 to the first times 10 to the first. And we know this from yesterday that
10 to the third.
It's going to end up being 10 to the third. So that r has a 0 power, which we need to make sense of also. So this turns into 3p r to the 0 times itself, 3p r to the 0. Numbers out in front are treated regularly, so it turns out to be 9. The p exponents get added together, and the r exponents get added together. So 0 plus 0 just stays 0. And we'll talk about what a 0 exponent means in a moment. So we get 2a to the 5 minus 2, b squared. Copy it down 3 times. Let's simplify it though. 2a to the third, b squared. So if I copy this down, 2a cubed b squared times 2a cubed b squared times 2ab, or a cubed b squared. So if you do this correctly, we end up with, well, 2 times 2 times 2. You've got to take these one at a time, like 2 times 2,
4.
and then multiply by another 2. We're at 8. A to the, we got to add all the a's together. So we're at 9. And then we got to add up all the b's together, giving us 6.